ممتاز.
الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء وضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah. This virtual meeting is jointly arranged by Comstech and Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan. His heading is a virtual training and technical support of OIC Muslim countries on WHO benchmarking tool on medicine and medical devices. This is one of the intervention of annual coordination meeting of institutions of OIC that was decided in 4 to 5 December 2024. And also one of the strategic activity of third meeting of National Medicine Regulatory Authority is held on 17th, 18th December 2024 at Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, jointly organized by OIC General Secretary Jeddah and also the Saudi Food and Drug Administration. I congratulate and appreciate OIC Jeddah and also the SFDA for arranging a successful third national medicine regulatory meetings. For this, I will request Professor Dr. Muhammad Iqbal Chaudhry, who is Coordinator General of Ministerial Standing Committee of Scientific and Technological Cooperation, that is one of the Standing Committee of OIC, for his opening remarks. Please, Professor Dr. Iqbal Chaudhry, sir.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I know that it is a very popular event, that we already have close to 90 participants online. I'm sure that many more would be coming online as well. Let me appreciate Dr. Asim Rauf, the Chief Executive Officer of Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan, a very well-structured body, and Dr. Asim Rauf has played an extremely important role in developing this whole architect of a vibrant, high-quality regulatory framework. I also personally would like to appreciate his contributions for Pakistan during COVID-19. I had the pleasure of working with him briefly, and I was very impressed from his patience, his commitment, and his professionalism. This is something which really make this event very important because all other speakers as well are equally good in terms of their professional competence and ethics. We have Dr. Ubaidullah with us, who happened to be one of my former scholars and had visited me in my research center. He's the Director, Division of Pharmaceutical Evaluation and Registration of DRAP. Mr. Abdul Mughis Mudassir, Deputy Director to the Chief Executive Officer, Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan. Dear brother, Dr. Safar Rahman Khattak, to whom we meet very often as he is based in Karachi city. My colleague, Professor Dr. Abdul Rashid, who is working in comstech with dedication, and he's in charge of comstech health program in 57 member states. Mr. Flan Ali, who is the Deputy Director of Central Drug Laboratory in DRAP, in Karachi office. There are participants from, I learned, about 30 countries, and this makes this event a very popular one. It also reflects that is topic which is of immense importance. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world where diseases are prevalent, where it is extremely important that we work together to develop healthcare system which is robust, flexible, and meaningful. And this is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome all of you, the speakers, the resource persons, participants from 30 countries on this very important virtual training session organized by OIC Comstech. Comstech is a ministerial standing committee comprised of 57 ministers of member states located in 4 continents and represent about 2 billion population, roughly about 1/4 of humanity. Unfortunately, many of the OIC member states are in very low level, low ladder of development, and it's time for us to work together through our collective strength to improve every sector of it. And certainly this training is an important step towards that. This initiative reflects our shared commitment to strengthening healthcare system across the OIC member state by advancing quality, safety, and efficacy of essential medicines and medical devices. Today, we gather as a community dedicated to fostering collaboration, enhancing technical capacities, and addressing critical challenges, most enduring problems in the regulatory framework that govern our healthcare systems. The fact is that in many of the member states, the challenges include the robust regulatory healthcare system, and therefore this training is just an emblem and edifice of many trainings which we intend to have in futures. The WHO GBT serves as a vital instrument for assessing and improving the maturity of regulatory system, ensuring that align with international best practices and standards. OIC is striving to achieve many of these standards as soon as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, we have seen during COVID-19 pandemic that the resilient healthcare system is at the core of survival of not only the healthcare system of different countries, but also socioeconomic structure. And that robust regulatory mechanism which ensure timely access to safe and effective medical product is central to any healthcare system. As OIC member states, we face common challenges, including capacity constraint, resource limitation, and need for harmonized standards. This training program is a step forward, addressing these gaps by equipping our member state with the tools and technical knowledge necessary to strengthen this regulatory framework. I appreciate the World Health Organization, who work very closely with OIC, for their leadership in developing this comprehensive tool, for their continued support in building capacity across nations. I also like to express my gratitude to the experts, trainers, and participants whose collective efforts will make this initiative more meaningful and important. Let me seize this opportunity to exchange knowledge, share great best practices, and build network that will empower our nation to advance the health and well-being of our population. Together, we can make significant strides towards achieving excellence in regulatory system and ensuring equitable access to high-quality medicine and medical devices to the populations we cater. It is my request to all OIC member states that they should strive to strengthen their regulatory system of medicine for access of safe, effective, and quality medicine with reasonable price and with rational use. Regulatory bodies shall develop a regulatory framework at least for 15 potential countries, and they can import and export medicine without any hurdle. OIC 15 is also striving towards developing many of these essential instruments for good quality healthcare. I wish all participants a productive and insightful training experiences with these wonderful resource persons. Let me commit on behalf of comstech that we share a goal which is important and timely, and that is to improve healthcare system and to create a healthcare future for all. Thank you very much, and I look forward to a fruitful outcome of this collaboration. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam. Thank you very much, sir. And now I request Mr. Asim Rauf, Chief Executive Officer, Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan, to say few professional words, which we also discussed during the meeting of Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and also his personal experience, because Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan is going to be got maturity level 3, inshallah, by WHO in near future. Please, over to Asim Rauf.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري وأحلل عقدة من لساني ويفقهوا قولي. Respected Doc Saab, Dr. Abdul Rashid Saab, Dr. Iqbal Saab, a legend in Pakistan, and we always look towards him for his leadership. He has done a lot for Pakistan and Muslim countries. Dr. Ubaidullah, Dr. Saif Hatak, Mughis, and all the participants from the Islamic countries. Assalamu alaikum. Dr. Abdul Rashid Saab is an inspiring senior to me, and he has always shown a lot of affection and love towards me, I would say, particularly whether I was a deputy drug controller or I was CEO. And he has been instrumental in doing so many innovative work in the track. And when we were together in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, the need for collaboration to achieve the WHO level 3, which we call as World Health Organization listed authorities, that was very evident. And Dr. Abdul Rashid, immediately floated an idea that we should collaborate and come forward and unite all the countries and pave a way for joint efforts to achieve that target. And I am again impressed that, within this shortest time, it is, I would say, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we are here together. And no doubt, it couldn't be happen without the, the charismatic and dynamic leadership of Dr. Iqbal Saab. As I said earlier, Dr. Saab, you have done a lot, and a lot of scientists in Pakistan, they are the direct, they are the, I would say, they are here because of direct leadership of yourself. So, today's event is very important. When we were in Riyadh, we discussed in detail that the provision of quality medicine is a right, and that right is for everyone, for every person living in this world. And how to achieve that landmark, that landmark where we are assured that whatever we are producing, that is a quality product. When DRAP started its journey with WHO with reference to WLA way forward, and that landmark that we wanted to achieve, we started in 2019. And when we started and studied it, we were very clear that this system that we have to follow, that makes sure that the products that are produced are of the highest quality. These global benchmarking tools that has been, the instrumental in achieving our target, that encompasses all of the areas where you can, imagine, whether it is manufacturing, it is pharmacovigilance, it is the testing of the quality testing of the pharmaceuticals, or, whatever that relates to the provision of the standardized medicines to the people. It also includes the storage. It also includes, the selling of the drugs. So it includes the risk-based inspections criteria. So there are hundreds of IDPs, institutional development plans, that one have to follow to move forward. And DRAB in Pakistan, with one of, I would say, with some of the very finest officers, and I can proudly say that Dr. Ubaid is here, and Dr. Saifur Rahman Hatak is here, and Dr. Abdul Rashid, who has been the part, we have been able to move forward very effectively, even keeping in view the real facts that Pakistan is have very complicated system. There's, two parallel system. One is the provincial system that takes care of the storage, distribution, and selling, and one federal system where we control the import, export, and manufacturing, and narcotic control, etc. So the real hope lies with Pakistan is that, we continue integration with provinces and achieve our target of World Health Organization listed authority status. And I'm pleased to inform you that in February, Pakistan would be getting, inshallah, 2 more WHO pre-qualified labs, thus adding adding these 2 would make the total to 7 labs. That would be unprecedented in the world. So we want to share our experiences. We want to move forward jointly. We want to, have a common goal of achieving something that ensures that, people are getting the quality medicines. So today's workshop is the first step that would give us a way forward with concrete timelines, and will provide whatever we have within ourselves and within the Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan. The purpose is very clear, as I said earlier, that by joining hands, if we develop a world where the healthcare of the people is protected, and where everybody uses the medicines without any fear. So that would be, I always say that would be the order of the Allah also. Allah Almighty says in Quran Pak that he who saves a single life saves the humanity. So our today's meeting is a step forward towards the order of the Allah, that by combining the efforts, we would be in a position to save the lives which are, going away, which are slipping away from this world because of the adverse events of the medicines. So I would request everybody here that they put their times with lot of attention and they listen to whatever is being said here. They should have a lot of question answers so that we come up with a concrete way forward and framework. Sir, at the last, I would again, appreciate the efforts by the comstech for, having such a wonderful gathering, Dr. Abdul Rashid Saab, and definitely, yourself. Without your patronage, I'm sure, we could not have been, sitting here with this shortest possible time. And thank you very much. And I have a lot of, duas and a lot of prayers to Allah Almighty that we achieve our targets. Thank you very much.
Inshallah, Jazakallah khair. Thank you.
With this, we want to take a group photo. My request will be all the participants, they should unmute their microphone so that all the pictures should come. Junaid, can you take? Yes, just. We need more, yes. Yes, please unmute your videos so that we can take a group photo. We need some more. Few more. Junaid, can you take? Just, yes. 1, 2, 3. One more. One picture more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. With this, we start the first presentation, and the first speaker is Dr. Ubaidullah, who is Director, Division of Pharmaceutical Evolution and Registration, Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan. He is, as far as I remember, when I was working before retirement in DREF, he was the focal point with WHO and WHO global benchmarking tool. As he's remained busy and many responsibilities, so maybe he shifted to Maurice, Dr. Maurice. So he was the first focal point from DREF to WHO. Now he's working as a director of session. Previously, he was working in Division of Quality Assurance and Lab Testing, and also he remains head of Division of Pharmacy Services, and also remain as a head of National Global. He remains head of Pakistan National Pharmacovigilance Center, also as a chairman Clinical Studies Committee, chairman Advertisement Committee, and we remain together as both remain consultant in Afghanistan. So over to my colleague, Dr. Ubaidullah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, and thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum and good day to all my dear colleagues. In fact, it's an honor and privilege to be here for this very important session where we will talk about this regulatory system strengthening of OIC member countries. As I already highlighted by Honorable Iqbal Chaudhry Sahab, CEO DREP, Asim Raouf Sahab, that there is dire need that all Muslim countries should be working on strengthening of their regulatory system strengthening so that they can be able to provide a very good standardized quality of medicine to their people. So the topic of my presentation is impact of WHO global benchmarking tool in strengthening national medicine regulatory authorities. So it is the contents of my presentation. I will start with United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and WHO resolutions. Then what is the program regulatory system strengthening of WHO, and what is a global benchmarking tool, and what is the current global landscape, and finally conclusion and way forward. So if we see the sustainable development goals, so we all know that previously these were called Millennium Development Goals, and now these are called SDGs. And by and large, all countries are signatory to the UN Charter, and these are 17 goals, and these are very important for the development of countries, especially LMICs, low middle income countries. And if we see, I will not go into details of all the SDGs. The very pertinent SDG, which is related to today's discussion, it is good health, SDG 3. Rather, it is good health and well-being. So every government is responsible for the provision of good health and well-being for its population, and very specifically target that to achieve this SDG, there is target 3.8, and you can see that SDG 3.8 very specifically talk about access to safe, effective, quality, and affordable essential medicine and vaccine for all. Now, it is the target for which we all people are here for today's session. Every government, by and large, has established their Department of Health, their regulatory authorities, and they are responsible for the provision of all these things. Now, the question is, what should be the mechanism? What should be the strategy to be adopted by every regulatory authority, every government for this target? If we see the global scenario, there are two types of countries across the world. One countries are called stringent regulatory authorities, a reference regulatory authority, and they have very good regulatory system. And by and large, these are the developed countries. So by virtue of their ecosystem, their regulatory systems are very strengthened, and they are providing the medicines and vaccines to their population as a whole because of their legislation. But there is a large number of countries, rather most of the countries of the world, if we specifically say that there are about 200 countries of the world which don't have some stringent regulatory system, and they rely either on their other regulatory authorities or they rely on their stringent mechanism of World Health Organization to be adopted for the provision of that. So by and large, we can see that that there should be some system which say about and which guide these member countries for a good regulatory system. So in order to achieve this SDG 3 and WHO target 3.8, what the WHO has done, that over a period of last 20 years, they have established a system, they have established a department in their headquarters, Geneva, which is the title of the Regulatory System Strengthening Program. And it is as per the WHO Resolution 67, and that states recognize the importance of the strong regulatory system to a well-functioning healthcare and attainment of healthcare-related SDGs. It has two objectives: to build the capacity of the member states consistent with the good regulatory practice, and promote regulatory cooperation, convergence, and transparency through networking, work sharing, and reliance. So if we see the objective, it not only says about the capacity building, rather it talks about the networking. So if we see the WHO charter, and if we see the charter of the OIC, it is almost same one. WHO talks about the all member countries, and OIC is specifically targeted about the Muslim countries. So, but Now OIC is working with WHO Regulatory System Strengthening Program, and for the purpose is that to strengthen the member countries, OIC member countries for their regulatory capacity. And what is the ultimate target, ultimate goal? To promote access to quality assured medical product. So it is by and large the concept of all this global benchmarking tool. It is the concept of global strengthening, regulatory system strengthening. So if we see then when the WHO started this working, so basically it is based on the ISO 9004 standards, and they called it global benchmarking tool. And it has 4 levels, 1, 2, 3, 4. So level 1, just as a summary, level 1 means that all those countries who are at level 1, it means they have no formal approach. Their system is so weak that they don't have any formal approach for the regulation of the medicine in their country. Level 2 means reactive approach, that they have a formal system in place, but they react in response to some sort of emergency or problem. They don't have some stable functional system. These countries, these regulatory authorities think about the problem, think about the solution when they have the problem in hand. So it means that problem can be solved through some reactive approach, or in some cases there are chances that they don't find any solution for that problem, and that problem can path that country into some big problem as well. So maturity level 2 means reactive approach, and maturity level 3 is the stable formal system approach, meaning thereby that they have a functional regulatory system in place where they have a good system, good formal approach, good SOPs and guidelines, not only for their regulatory system, but also for the industry as well. And it is considered as stable formal approach. And level 4 is the continual improvement, that is advanced level approach, and these are called the reference regulatory authorities. So it is a basic scheme of work on which the WHO work. So we can say it has a 4-tier approach, starting from maturity level 1 up to maturity level 4. And maturity level 1 is the least regulation in the country with no formal approach. With level 4 is the advanced level approach. And the target of the WHO resolution 67, that the member country should have a stable system for their regulatory system, and this should be at maturity level 3. Now, the important point and the word which have been also used by our CEO as well, and that is the product life cycle approach. It is all the system which is being covered by the global benchmarking tool. It doesn't talk about any one specific part. It talks about risk-based approach, very important, and it talks about the life cycle. So what is the meaning of life cycle? Life cycle means that any country who is involved in the regulation of the medicine, it should have a system in place, starting from the research and development, preclinical and clinical studies, then regulatory approval, then manufacturing, and then sales, storage, and distribution network, meaning thereby pre-marketing phase and post-marketing phase. So every country should have a stable functional system to cover all the processes which are involved in the development of a drug, its approval by the regulatory authority, then its sales, storage, distribution to the retail outlets, and ultimately reporting of the adverse drug reaction. So if we see, so the WHO has divided all these components of the life cycle into 9 approaches. One is the national regulatory system that started from the R&D up to the last one. Clinical trial is the pre-market phase. Marketing authorization is between the pre-market and post-market. Licensing mean licensing of the pharmaceutical unit, licensing of the clinical trial site, licensing of the sales, storage, distribution setups as well. Now coming to the vigilance part, adverse drug reporting, and adverse drug reaction reporting is from the clinical part up to the last distribution. and then regulatory inspection, same from the clinical trial up to the manufacturing, up to the sales to distribution, lab testing, lot release, and market surveillance. So you can see that the global benchmarking tool covers all the aspects, starting from the conceiving of an idea for the development of drug from the research and development up to the drug which is placed at the shelf of a pharmacy, even it is used or it is expired. So all the aspects which are directly involved or indirectly involved for the development of drug and up to the last stage, it is covered over here. So what the global benchmarking tool covers, it covers basically all the functions which I have just shared, starting from the development of drug up to the retail pharmacy, and all these aspects are supposed to be governed by the or regulated by the any national medicine regulatory authority. Various the nomenclatures are being used. In some countries, it is called National Medicine Regulatory Authority. In some countries, it is called National Regulatory Authority. Where it is called, somewhere it is called Department of Health. So it doesn't matter that what is the nomenclature of that very country. Basically, there is a function that is the regulation of the medicine. So what the WHO usually do, that they first do the pre-visit of that very regulatory authority in order to give the sensitization about the standardization of their regulatory system to that very country, about the orientation of the global benchmarking tool, how it works, what are these components. Then there is self-benchmarking. The important thing is that it is that sort of examination by the WHO, assessment by the WHO, rather it is the review by the WHO, where every regulatory authority know the questions, because it is the basically indicator based, all indicators has been declared. So first the regulatory authority, after having the training, first they assess themselves by the way of self-benchmarking. After self-benchmarking, there is a system where it is called verification of self-benchmarking by the WHO, and then there is audit by the WHO, and then it is follow-up. Although it is a 5-step approach, but which has been shown in this slide, but by and large we can see that it is not a very simple, because it is a very elaborative CGBT. Previously it was called Global Benchmarking Tool. Now it is called CGBT, Computerized Global Benchmarking Tool, because there is no document. All the things are available on the website, and everything is already declared over there as well. And if we see that how it has been developed, that it is a development of a global benchmarking tool, national regulatory authority system. And then after this, what I have been shared with you, when this benchmarking, there is a system of formulation of institution development plan. Now, these are the institution development plan which set the guiding principle for every regulatory authority. Rather, it is the charter of activity, it is the strategic plan, it is the guideline for every regulatory authority after the initial benchmarking by the WHO to be followed. And after this following of all these things, definitely it required technical support, training, learning, networking by the WHO as well. But previously, it was only the World Health Organization which supports the member country for the development. But now various other organizations are working together, like United States Pharmacopoeia, like other organizations. And now it's very clear for us that OIC is also in this field, that OIC is very much willing to provide the technical assistance to its member countries for completion of the institution development plan. Because the important thing is, it is not a solo flight by any country. It is the joint activity, it is the joint responsibility by all of us to support each other for achieving all these things, and then monitoring and process. Now, the important point is why other countries are aligned, while OIC is interested, why WHO is interested to support other countries. The answer is very simple, because medicines and vaccine is not the localized commodity. Both medicines and vaccines are the global commodities. These are being manufactured in one part of the world, exported to other part of the world. And as we know that all OIC member countries are not manufacturing their drugs by their own. They used to import the medicine from other countries as well. So if the regulatory system of all the countries are good, then they can have the good commodity of these medicine, they will have good standards. So it's very important where we can work together for all these things. Just to summarize that how global benchmarking tools works, it has basically a pyramid approach. What is the pyramid approach? That system function, regulatory system, there are some common functions. Then in global benchmarking tool, if you see, there are indicators. Before indicators, we can see that there are two types of functions, and these functions are called regulatory functions. By and large, for all the product life cycle, there are 9 functions. First one is national regulatory system. National regulatory system has basically 3 components. It covers about the legislation, what the legislation your country have. It covers quality management system of your country. And third one, it covers the resources. So all these 3 components cover under national regulatory system. And when we talk about the national regulatory system, it is very important to discuss that it not only covers only and only national regulatory authority, because in various countries, there are various models. Like in our country, in Pakistan, we at DRAP, central level, oversee licensing, manufacturing, and pricing and import and export. But sales, storage, distribution, pharmacovigilance is being governed by our provincial health departments. So national regulatory system doesn't cover DRAP only. National regulatory system means DRAP, provincial governments, all. So all member countries should review their own system. If they have a fragmented system for the regulation, where provinces also interact with the federation for the function, then all the entities who are responsible for the regulation, they come under national regulatory system. Like in clinical trial, if the clinical trial in most of the country, rather in all countries, bioethics is separate from the regulatory authority. So bioethics is part of the national regulatory system. So it is very important component, national regulatory system. It improves quality management as well. Part 2 is regulatory function 2 is the registration and marketing authorization. Every drug should be available after the registration. What should be the system for the registration? It should be in registration and marketing. Vigilance is the pharmacovigilance, adverse drug reaction reporting. Market surveillance and control. SF product is very common across the globe. So all the SF product review is market surveillance and control, import, export. Licensing premises doesn't mean only licensing of the manufacturing unit. It covers licensing of the clinical trial unit, manufacturing unit, and storage sale outlets. Regulatory inspection also follows the same principle. Lab access and testing means laboratory testing, releases, and clinical trial oversight. So these are the common functions which are supposed to be done by every regulatory authority. Non-common function is an NRA lot release. Lot release means that every vaccine, sera, bulk should be have approval from the regulatory authority, and it is only for the vaccine manufacturing countries. So by and large, we can see there are 9 functions. Medicine functions cover only 8 parts, and vaccine and medicine covers 9 parts. So every regulatory authority should have an integral approach for all these 9 functions to be covered over there. So how it works, that there are indicators, sub-indicators, and guidelines for the assessment. So it is a pyramid structure in the tool, where there are indicators, and by and large, every function has different indicators. Our other presenter will go in detail and explain how many indicators are there and how it works. But just to summarize that these are the 9 functions: regulatory system, marketing authorization, vigilance, market control, licensing, regulatory inspection, similarly clinical trial, lot release. These are the functions, and lab testing as well. So number of indicators, various indicators are there. Like in regulatory system, there are 10 indicators. By and large, all functions have 6 indicators each, but these are the sub-indicators, and you can see that for all 9 regulatory functions, there are 268 sub-indicators. So all these sub-indicators have been declared, and in this tool, not only indicators have been declared, rather fact sheet is very much there, that what is the meaning of this sub-indicator, what the WHO will like to have all these documents. So it's very self-explaining. And moving further, that it is the maturity level 1 to 4 minimum requirements and how it works. For maturity level 1, there are 28 indicators, sub-indicators, maturity level 2, 32, and maturity level 3, 151. And for maturity level 4, there are 57. So if any regulatory authority want to achieve maturity level 3 for their regulatory system, they are supposed to comply all these sub-indicators 28 plus 32 plus 151. So it's very important to achieve all these things, to understand all these things, which our other presenter, they are well versed with all these sub-indicators and they will share with you. So if we see what is the current global regulatory status, so we can see that by the year 2016, only 9 regulatory authorities were benchmarked, and in 2024, this number goes to 96. It is a cumulative bar diagram where you can see that it is the ever increasing, and now every member country wants to be assessed and have audited by the WHO for the global benchmarking tool. Out of about 200 countries, member countries, 96 countries have been assessed for their regulatory value. And you can see in this that it is a current global landscape of national regulatory authority, that 63% of the world rather we can see that starting from bottom, self-benchmarking has been done by 13%, and 63% country has been benchmarked. And WHO listed authority is another term which I will share subsequently. 11% of the population has live in the WHO listed authority countries. 63% countries has been assessed by the WHO as well. And you can see the number as well. 33 member states are the level 3, and 37 states have been self-benchmarking, and 58 member states have been done by this one. Now coming to the how much percentage has been covered. So you can see that 19% of the member state have been benchmarked, and rest of all are in the phase of that. 17% live in the WHO listed authority as well. And all this data is available on the WHO website, RSS website. So purpose of sharing this one, and it is a summary, that maturity level 1, it is the 2024 updated figures. 97 countries are at maturity level 1. 38 countries are at maturity level 2. And at maturity level 3 and 4, there are about 59 countries. And you can see within 6 years, this number has been increased from 50 to 52 and now 59. So trend and the intention by the member countries of the WHO has been now increasing day by day towards the stable approach is increasing. Now, what is the status of the OIC countries? So just to share with you that situation is not very much encouraging. If we see about there are 57 countries, yes, 57 member countries of the OIC, but only 7 countries have achieved maturity level 3 and 4. So what are these member countries? Top of it, it is Saudi Arabia, which very recently have achieved level 4, maturity level 4. Egypt recently achieved maturity level 3. Indonesia is maturity level 3 for vaccine. Nigeria, Senegal, Turkey, and Tanzania. So these are the member countries which are at maturity level 3 and 4 out of these 59. But rest of the country, they are still in maturity level 2 and maturity level 1 stage. Rather, when we were reviewing, there are many countries who have not still started even thinking about maturity level, and they are still have not started process of their global benchmarking tool. So it is the urge, it is the desire, and it is the requirement of the day to proceed further for all these things. But it is not only the presentation. There are many things which WHO has issued. which can be reviewed for going so. So it is a global benchmarking tool for the national regulatory system, and you can find the link as well. It is a book which has been issued, and it covers about previously it was only for the medicine, then it was blood as well, and then the devices as well. You can find all these material literature with how global benchmarking tool works on this link as well. It about the indicator, sub-indicator, guidelines, fact sheet, evidence to review, everything is there. At the same time, because initially, as I shared with you, that mostly this work on the reliance principle. So what are the good regulatory practices and good reliance practices? You can find all these documents by the WHO on these websites. These are the good reliance practice in regulation of the medical products, good regulatory practice in regulation of the medical. So these are the documents where you can find. So it is very important that every country should have the quality management system, and it is the missing link, which I believe that in most of the country, quality management system is still not working. It is still not established. Rather, because I used to be the part of the WHO team who used to audit various regulatory authority. So when we visit them, we find that in some country there is no idea of the quality management system, and without quality management system, it is next to impossible to have accreditation. So you can have this technical report series, and this is the link for the quality management system in National Regulatory Authority. It is the ISO 9001. It is the global good regulatory practices and all, and it is the performance evaluation as well. So it was all about the maturity level 1, 2, 3, but work not stop here. It is keeping moving and on. And new concept is the WHO listed authority. I believe that all people have listened the word stringent regulatory authority. This stringent regulatory authority means that those regulatory authority which have a stringent regulatory mechanism. But now the nomenclature has been changed from the SRA to the WLA. So WLA, it is the regulatory authority or regional regulatory system, which is very good system, and all maturity level 4 regulatory authority will be the WLA. The important point which I want to highlight here, it can be a regulatory authority, it can be a regional regulatory system. So regional regulatory system means like European Medicine Agency is a regional regulatory system, ASEAN is a regional regulatory system. Now Africa has African Medicine Agency, it is a regional regulatory system. GCC, Gulf Coordination Council, has a regulatory system. So as a regulatory system, they can get the accreditation from the as a WHO listed authority as well. Just to summarize that what is this WLA? It is an initiative and evidence-based pathway for the regulatory authority to globally recognize. Important point is promote access and supply. So wherever you want, you will review the document, you will see the word access. So what is the difference between access and available? Available means it is available, but out of the reach of the public. But access means it is available and people can find that. So it is about the access and to optimize the use of limited resources by facilitating reliance. It is very important to have reliance, and for that purpose, we are here in OIC to have all these components of reliance and everything. And you can see, just because most of the countries are not the candidate for the level 4 or WLA, but you can see that WLA status will be given to only those regulatory authority where they will have performance assessment, performance evaluation for all the steps, and all the tools indicator for the level 1, 2, 3, and 4 should be 100% complied. And you can rely on these level 4 authority for anything. So if we move to the conclusion part, that GPT implementation ensures access of quality assured medicine and vaccine for the public. By and large, every regulatory authority, every government has only one mission when we talk about the medicine, that is access of the quality assured medicine. And quality assured is a very vast term. It covers safe, effective quality, all components. Next point, GPT provides a systematic approach for defining and strengthening regulatory capacity and processes by IDP. When I talk about the systematic approach, it is very much clear that it is not one regulatory authority wish. It gives you a system where after following that, you can adopt a very harmonized approach, and it can increase not only regulatory capacity, it increases your capacity building of your people, capacity building of your industry, and all the things. And processes is by the institution development plan. And last point is it promotes good regulatory practices, regulatory reliance, harmonization, strategic planning, and emergency preparedness. So I have used 5 words here. Regulatory practices is for you to decide. The regulatory reliance is on other regulatory authorities, that how you can rely on other regulatory authority for the decision making. Harmonization is very important when you talk about the globalization, because it promotes the confidence building of all the regulatory authority while you work by strategic planning. And last one is emergency preparedness. We witnessed a very bad era of the COVID, and where we have witnessed that most of the country don't have some emergency preparedness plans for their regulatory system. And those countries which have emergency preparedness plan, they were successful in having the access of these medicines and vaccines for their countries as well. So now this GBT covered this emergency preparedness as well. So this is the basically purpose of all these things. Now coming to the last slide, and that slide is very important for across the globe in general and for our OIC member countries in specific. And it is an African proverb that if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And that is the purpose that we all people are here. About 37 countries people are here together, that we want to go far, and OIC wants to work together. In this working together, platform of OIC member countries is available. In this approach, we can assist the guidance from our other member countries who have achieved maturity level 4 and maturity level 3. In this assistance and coordination and networking, all member countries can seek the guidance from those countries who are in the process of that. So what we believe that we OIC member countries can achieve the target if we will go together for access of medicine for their public. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ubaidullah. An excellent presentation. I must say that as a gateway has been open for all Muslim countries. I will not ask question, but I will comment a little bit that Dr. Ubaid, what will your opinion that either the Gulf countries or 15 Muslim potential countries which have the capability to go ahead, they should make a regulatory framework just like EMA, so that they can rely on the quality and safety of medicine of one country to another, and they can import and export medicine without hurdles. What's your opinion in this regard?
Yes, in fact, if we see present practice, what has been done across the world, so that is on the basis of the regions. If we see what the name which I have shared, that is the European Medicines Agency, all the European country, EMA. At the same time, EMA, African Medicine Agency, it's again on the regions. ASEAN is the Association for Southeast Asian Nations, again, ASEAN countries. Gulf countries has their own. So by and large, if we see that it is the regional networking which is presently working for the purpose of reliance. So best idea is the regional networking. But the important thing is that if we see OIC country, then it is the 7 continents.
Yes.
Probably it seems difficult that to have some common regulatory network, but it is easy that from the platform of OIC, we can work together for the strengthening of our other member countries, where we can work together for the system strengthening as well.
Thank you very much. There is one question from Dr. Sayyid Javed Khurshisa, please.
Looking at your presentation, there are 2 questions coming in my mind. First, as you talked about the regional licensing procedures, it can be like that OIC can provide the facility to the regional, developing the regional capacity, or otherwise, for some period, we can help them how to regulate the things to different countries which are already established system. So in that region, we can work out on those countries which have the established system and can develop them in the regional capacity to do that, because that will be easy. Otherwise, in OIC countries, there are so many members and they are at the cusp that we cannot develop those facilities right away, even working for 4 to 5 years. And when you talk about medicine, working for 4 to 5 years, developing the facility there and things like that is too much. And they don't have so much money. So what we can do, we can pick those regional places which have a little capacity, which has a developed program, so we can bring them together to help those regional countries. Thank you so much.
Is there any question in chat? Please, Dr. Mugisa.
So currently there is no question except one. It is asked by someone named Esra. For those countries who have no formal approach, what should be your advice?
In fact, the only solution for all those countries is the reliance. That all those countries who don't have some formal approach, meaning thereby they are either at maturity level 1 with the no approach or at maturity level 2 with the reactive approach. If they are at maturity level 1, the only solution is reliance. And if they are maturity level 2, meaning thereby that they have some system in place, so they can start working by their own self and go for the reliance as well. Even very interestingly, even the regulatory authorities who are at maturity level 4, they do reliance as well. Like European Medicine Agency rely on the US FDA rely on the Health Canada rely on other regulatory authorities as well. Like I give the example of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is at maturity level 4 with advanced approach, but they do rely on the other regulatory authority for the decision making, specifically when it comes to the safety and efficacy. Most of the countries assess the quality part by themselves, but safety and efficacy is being done by that. Mr. Abdul Mughis will share when he will present the marketing authorization, that for the safety and efficacy part, it's not the practice by any regulatory authority to do safety and efficacy assessment by their own self. So go for the reliance. And if any country is maturity level 1, then go for all the decision making on the reliance part. So reliance is the solution. And for that purpose, WHO has already issued guidelines, which I have already shared with the link as well. Good reliance practices. It's very comprehensive document which should be followed in by the member countries.
If there is no question, then time is also over. That is 1 o'clock. Now this is time for the second presentation. Second presenter is Mr. Abdul Mughis Mudassir. He is a Deputy Director to Chief Executive Officer, Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan. And his topic is to present it here on screen is regulatory functions of regulatory system, marketing authorization, vigilance, and licensing establishment. Over to Abdul Mughis.
It's a great honor to be here. Especially we have our leadership like His Highness Dr. Muhammad Iqbal Chaudhry here, as well as CEO DRAP was here, Dr. Abdul Rashid and Dr. Ubaidullah. Thank you very much for this opportunity to share our views. Starting with the main purpose of this presentation is to have a basic introduction about various regulatory functions, especially national regulatory system, marketing authorization and registration, and vigilance, which is given in the WHO global benchmarking tool. It is very interesting fact that there are multiple benchmarking tools available in the world, but currently WHO global benchmarking tool is the one which is mostly preferred by national regulatory authorities, as well as it is recommended by WHO for the strengthening of the national regulatory systems. The first slide is about the structure of the global benchmarking tool. Basically, the maturity level concept in the global benchmarking tool is based on ISO standard 9004, which gives the maturity level to organizations from 1 to 4. And as Dr. Abdullah has very clearly explained you all the processes that what it actually means to be on level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. Whole of this global benchmarking tool, its indicators, sub-indicators, they help the WHO and the National Regulatory Authority to know about their current position, on which maturity level they are currently standing, and what kind of work they need to undertake in order to improve their various functions. In GBT, there are 9 functions, and from those 9 functions, the core functions are from 2 to 9, which include the technical functions of registration, vigilance, marketing surveillance, licensing establishment, regulatory inspection, laboratory access and testing, clinical trials, and NRA lot release. Whereas the function number 1 is national regulatory system, which overviews the whole of the framework of regulatory system for the country. GBT is then divided into 3 levels, as the pyramid approach was shared by Dr. Ubaidullah, that NRS and regulatory functions are there, then there are indicators, then there are sub-indicators. Also, within the GBT, you will find the supporting materials, which consist of fact sheets, and within those fact sheets, as well as the tool, you will find for each indicator and sub-indicator, what is the scope of this indicator, what is the current description, how WHO perceives it, what are the objectives of these indicators and sub-indicators, what are the requirements that need to be met, and what is the evidence that should be reviewed by WHO when they come for your assessment. Similarly, then there are references of guidelines and various documents of WHO, ICH, and various international organizations. Then there is a framework. Then there is very important thing, which is the rating scale. In rating scale, there is a description given for 4 types of implementation status. It starts from not implemented for any indicator, then it moves to ongoing implementation, and then it moves towards partial implementation, and finally, an indicator or sub-indicator can be marked as implemented. So all of this detail, that how WHO assesses a certain sub-indicator for whether it is implemented or not implemented or partially or ongoing implemented, the detail is giving in this rating scale under the rating scale heading. So it can be seen right there. And then there are limitations and remarks for each sub-indicator, which explains that either this indicator can be waived off by WHO, or this is an essential indicator for assessing any maturity level. So our today's discussion for this presentation encompasses 3 regulatory functions, starting with the NRS, and then moving towards registration, and then to the vigilance. Within all the regulatory functions, there is a general categorization of GBT indicators. In order to understand that what can we expect in MA, vigilance, licensing, inspection, laboratory testing, it is very important to understand the basic structure as well. So within the indicators, the sub-indicators consist of basic 9 categories. It starts from legal provisions, it asks for various regulations, and it asks for various guidelines that are required for a certain function. Then it talks about organization and governance structure of the whole framework. Specifically, if we are talking about marketing authorization, then it will ask whether do you have a proper system, a proper office established, if there are reviewers, if there are secondary reviewers, if you have proper HR, proper finances. Then there are policy and strategic planning related sub-indicators, which ask you about various policies, including reliance and including the management of conflict of interest. Then there is leadership and crisis management, especially in case of emergency preparedness. What are the protocols that a national regulatory authority is following? Either it is with respect to registration, vigilance, or any other regulatory functions. A very important aspect which is repeated throughout the indicators and the sub-indicators is transparency, accountability, and communication. That how the evidence-based decision making that is performed by the regulatory authority is communicated to the public, how transparent the process is, and how accountable this process can be. It actually helps in generating credibility of that national regulatory authority, and it helps to gain international recognition. Then there are some sub-indicators which are related to quality and risk management systems, which include documented procedures, systems, how the reviews and assessments are performed, what kind of guidelines are followed, what are the job descriptions of various assessors, inspectors involved in that, and then the risk management system, what kind of decision making is done. And as Dr. Ubaidullah has already told you, that WHO has given good review practices in which all these this risk management approach in good review is also explained. Then a function, any function discusses specific regulatory processes. If it is about marketing authorization, then it means what are the pre-marketing and post-marketing steps that are being followed, how applications are received, how applications are assessed, and then how these applications are tracked. Then it asks about resources, especially financial infrastructure, equipment, information management systems. And the ninth one is the performance monitoring, which is monitoring progress and assessing impact, which is also at some levels, it is maturity level for indicators and sub-indicators. So our first core system is a national regulatory system. So if you go through the indicator and fact sheet, which Dr. Ubaidullah has already showed you, I have also placed the link at the end of this website. It explains that NRS provides the framework that supports the WHO recommended regulatory functions, and they talk about these 9 functions. It is basically an institution in charge of assuring the quality. So any national regulatory authority within a country is in charge of assuring the quality, safety, and efficacy of medical products, as well as ensuring the relevance and accuracy of the product information, which is available for public to use. The national regulatory system acts as an overarching framework, and it evaluates overall structure, governance, and capacity to effectively regulate medical products. This includes various legislations, various acts, rules, guidelines, SOPs, documents which are in practice. It also includes the governance structure, how many institutions are involved in decision making, and then what is the capacity of any NMRA? Is that NMRA is able to take decision by itself, or it has to rely on other regulatory authorities for the purpose of regulatory decision making? Just say, for example, in cases of clinical trial evaluations for efficacy and safety, in cases of various vigilance related events. Do they need to have this reliance, or they have the current capacity? So WHO indicators ask about the competency of the people who are involved in assessment, as well as in performing inspection and various regulatory functions. So it is a good measure. An NMRA, when it performs its self-assessment, can know that what is its current capacity level, including how many human resource they actually need, how many human resource, what kind of trainings they need to give to their human resource as well. This NRS uses a series of sub-indicator grouped into 9 cross-cutting categories, which are given in the next few slides. These are few key components which are given in national regulatory system. The first portion is basically dealing with the legal and regulatory framework, which actually checks the soundness and adequacy of the legal and regulatory framework. It is in the international perspective as well as for the harmonization practices that there is a need to check that definitions of various products such as pharmaceuticals, biologicals, vaccine, medical devices, alternative medicines are there, and they are very much clear that what kind of product can be categorized in which form. What are the legal mandates for a national regulatory authority? Do they have enough legal mandate to perform all the 9 regulatory functions which are mentioned in the global benchmarking tool? Then it moves towards the governance and leadership, which evaluates organizational structure, decision-making process, and leadership effectiveness, especially with respect to emergency preparedness. Then there is an assessment of the staffing level, human resource, its adequacy, its expertise, and what are the plan of NRA to have future human resource, and what are their plans for the training of current as well as the incoming human resources. It also goes into detail of financial resources, what are the budgets, how these budgets are made, how much money is allocated, how resources are allocated for various regulatory functions, if they are performing inspections, if they are performing registration, how much money is needed to actually perform that activity, and what kind of resources should be allocated, including all the equipment, which includes the computerized or digital tools, as well as laboratories. Information technology, because now the world is connected all over, it is an era of artificial intelligence, so we must have some kind of systems that bring easiness in performing various functions, especially with regard to a regulatory authority, because it has a duty on it to share information related to all the products that it regulates with the public, with all the stakeholders, especially if that information is to be shared on priority. Because it is about saving lives, and any kind of adverse event, any kind of recall that is going to happen needs to be disseminated throughout the world if a product is exported at the country level, at the local level, within minutes. So what are the information technology resources that are allocated for such purposes is also the purpose of this national regulatory system. It is also assessed. And then, of course, there is the main component, which is RS05, and it has very detailed 14 sub-indicators. It talks about quality management systems, that how NMRs should have their own quality management systems. With this regard, with regard to the quality management system, the whole focus of the quality management systems is on PDCA cycle, which is plan, do, check, and act. For this, a whole guidance document is given by WHO with the name of TRS 2025 Annex 13. It is the WHO guideline for the implementation of quality management system. The basic principles of quality management system mentioned here resonate actually with ISO standards of 9,000. When they talk about any regulatory system or any regulatory function, it involves various steps, which includes what should be the processes for performing a certain specific function. If they're going to issue registration, if they're going to evaluate a registration or marketing authorization application or dossier, what should be the process? This is covered in the planning phase. Also, it helps in maximizing the resources that an NMRA has on its disposal. Say, for example, the planning cycle also may include that if any regulatory authority aims to reduce marketing authorization grant time by 10% or 20%. So it is very common in regulatory authorities to have a very long process of giving registration, which includes various reviews, which includes laboratory testing, which includes long studies of 3 to 6 months. The data should be there, and after evaluation of that data, after fourth communication with the manufacturer and the applicants, the whole process takes a lot of time. So there are various timelines for various regulatory authorities to decide on a registration or marketing authorization application. So if an NMRA has a proper quality management system, they can plan ahead that what are the basic processes which they are repeating or which are extra currently and which are gaining much time. Is there any problem with regard to resources? Don't they have enough manpower or financial resources to do evaluation quickly? So while planning these things, it helps NNRAs to define policies and identify and address various risks and opportunities which are involved in various regulatory functions. After that, there is a do process in which implementation is checked for what has already been decided and planned by the regulatory authority at its management level, at its senior management, junior management level, up to the level of a reviewer. So then there is a check and monitor phase in which the performance is properly evaluated, feedback is taken from the customers, that how the whole system is moving forward and what can be various shortcomings in the system. There can be certain shortcomings which are also known as corrective actions or preventive actions which are required against discrepancies from the established procedures and documents. Then there is a phase of acting. In this act, you need to take action against whatever your investigation was, whatever the risk you have identified. So this is a very good and detailed document which can be accessed on the following link. It describes the whole QMS system in detail. Within the national regulatory system, there are 10 indicators, and within these 10 indicators, there are multiple sub-indicators. So the major 10 indicators of national regulatory systems are shown in this slide, which deal with the legal provision, regulation, guidelines, arrangement of effective organization, strategic planning, regulatory system support, similarly, quality management system, human resources, financial resources, infrastructure, mechanisms of transparency, accountability, and communication, including requirement of having a website or some way of communication to the public, and how that communication is made swiftly, fastly, and how that is kept up to date. What is the frequency of giving information on the website? Similarly, there is a mechanism, they also assess the mechanism to monitor regulatory performance and output. What was the initial number of applications coming in, how many applications have been reviewed, and the regulatory, whole regulatory function has been performing in what dimensions. These indicators are then divided into sub-indicators. So RS1 has further 9 sub-indicators which have different maturity levels, starting from 1 and going up to 4. Similarly, effective organization has 4, strategic planning has 5, leadership and crisis management has 5 sub-indicators, quality management system has 14, human resource has 4, financial resources have 4, infrastructure and equipment has 3, transparency and accountability has 9, and regulatory performance and output has further two sub-indicators. The purpose of these sub-indicators is basically to assess the overall maturity level of the organization. The second function is registration and marketing authorization, and this function deals with evaluation to determine safety, efficacy, and quality, approval, renewal, cancellation of product registration or marketing authorization. The objective of this regulatory function is to provide a system which ensures that only medical products which have been duly authorized by the NRA are allowed to be manufactured, imported, distributed, sold, and supplied to end users. So here it becomes very interesting because in this registration and marketing authorization, whole of the technical guidelines, the way how the applications are reviewed, how the data, various scientific data submitted in support of registration applications is assessed. So the key components of this this system includes application review, data assessment, same as risk-based approach, how risk-based approach is applied while evaluating various applications for registration, keeping in view of the category, the essentiality of any drug, its side effects, and its adverse events. Similarly, you also need to assess the post-marketing surveillance. Registration module is, or registration function is further divided into 6 indicators, and these indicators are then divided into sub-indicators. So from legal provisions and regulations, there are 13 sub-indicators which need to be fulfilled, and most of these indicators are maturity level 1 to 3. Then effective organization and good governance, both of these indicators are of maturity level 1 and 2. Human resource is then 4. It also includes the assessment and good review practices which are needed to be followed by the human resource. It's training. What should be the competencies of the dossier evaluators as well as the procedures. The main procedures that are basically assessed by WHO within this function are documented procedures, advisory and scientific committees which are basically involved in decision making. Is there any difference between routine and special circumstances procedures? They also assess internal tracking system of the applications, from where from which point they are started, how much time is taken at each step. Then the criteria for registration, is it different or same for all domestic, foreign, public, private sector? Registration applications. What are the renewal and prior? They also assess what are the processes of NRA for SPC, like labeling and packaging information, and how it should be made available to the public. Does an NMRA consider GMP reports while deciding on the registration and marketing authorization? Then they talk about the implementation of good review practices, and this good review practices basically encompass various principles. The 10 principles that the WHO talk about good review practices is considering it should be balanced, it has a context, it should be evidence-based, it should identify various signals, it should investigate and solve problems, it should make linkages between the data, various points between chemistry, safety, efficacy. It should be thorough and utilizes critical analysis, and it should be well documented. So WHO also talks about all these good review practices. Then they also assess reviewer competencies and trainings, summary technical report writing, as well as evaluation, how it is made available to the public through the databases. So the product information, especially that information which is required for the public to read and decide, information for healthcare practitioner, all these possible databases are included in this. The next function is of vigilance, and vigilance basically assesses the activities that are established on risk management approach. As you all know that pharmacovigilance already includes the reporting and assessment of all the ADRs, adverse drug reactions, and events following immunization. This function of GBT encourages a post-marketing vigilance system, which should be established at the national level within any country. And it also focuses on what is the current networking level of any NMRA with other international bodies and regulators, because it is a logical method for acquiring, sharing, and exchanging huge amount of data which is related to adverse events, which can be reported in one part of the world or another part of the world. The key components of the vigilance are post-market safety surveillance, also what are the mechanisms for adverse event detection, and what are the processes in place by the NMRA to respond to these adverse event detection. Then what is the approach of NMRA for risk management and risk communication, how these signals are detected, and how risk management plans are made and implemented. Furthermore, they also talk about a national level pharmacovigilance system, which is very important. Vigilance has 6 indicators. As Dr. Ubaidullah has already told, most of these indicators are regarding legal provisions, organization, human resource, and performance of vigilance activities, especially with respect to transparency, accountability, and communication. Within these indicators, the legal provisions related indicator has 7 sub-indicators, which are maturity level 1 and 2. A country must have its own legislation with regard to pharmacovigilance and reporting of adverse events and AEFIs. Similarly, VL2 has further 2 sub-indicators. Human resource have then 4 sub-indicators, and this is the total detail of the indicators. Vigilance has then a few processes which they mention with regard to the legal provision. And here is an important aspect that it is also the responsibility of MAH, marketing authorization holder and registration holder, to perform specific studies, and it should be made part of the legal provisions of that country as well. Further, it is also encouraged, and WHO assesses within its indicators and sub-indicators that what is the reliance or recognition practice of any NMRA with respect to vigilance-related activities. It also assesses the vigilance data collection and assessment procedures, and how the NMRA shares data and findings with regional and international partners. So these are the 3 functions that I had covered in my presentation. Thank you very much. So,
thank you very much. Is there a yes? Can you see questions in the chat? Otherwise, there is some break. Any question? Just we're seeing in the screen that is there any question from the chat?
yes. So by the name of Waqar, someone is asking that, in your view, what are the possible stakeholders of NRS, and what can be the one major challenge in implementation in third world countries? So basically, the primary customer with regard to the QMS for an NMRA is public, because they are going to consume the product. And it is very important for an NMRA to ensure the safety, quality, and efficacy of that product, which is going to the public. These stakeholders also include various governmental organizations that are involved in provision of public health resources, as well as the whole governance structure, which is involved in decision-making with respect to regulation. It also includes the manufacturers, because for compliance, for implementation, for enforcement, you need to have proper liaison with the manufacturers, which become a stakeholder. International organizations and various vertical health programs, they also become stakeholders, because the main aspect of the activity of any NMRA is to protect public health through ensuring access to quality, safety, and efficacy.
Should we do a break? Other question, if there is any question left, then we will discuss in detail in the last.
No, there are no questions.
There is no question. That's good. I think this is a time for break. Instead of 10-minute break, I will prefer to have a 15-minute break. So we will start again at 1:50. So there is a break of 15 minutes, started from 1:35 to hand is and then we will gather together at 1:50. And please be kiskai.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you for the presentation. I just want to check if you offer any specialized training on quality management systems for members who want to start manufacturing of vaccines. Is there any specialized quality management system training that you can offer?
In fact, if we are not specifically offering any training for the quality management system, but this quality management system for the vaccine, when we talk specifically, then we can, from the OIC platform, we can ask any other regulatory authority who is specialized in have maturity level 3 for the vaccine, they can assist. If you want to have some specific, then you can coordinate with the OIC secretariat for arranging all these things. And another option is that you can directly ask WHO as well for the for such type of trainings as well. From which country you are?
Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe, okay. So that you can directly request WHO, then they can arrange such type of QMS training for vaccines for your country as well, or OIC can also arrange for such type of trainings. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With this, we have a break for 15 minutes starting from now. Thank you very much.
We will resume training after 15 minutes.
Khatak Sahab, let's unmute your microphone. Yes, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
After 15-minute breaks, our third speaker is Dr. Saifur Rahman Khatak, who have two responsibility. He is one of responsibility is Director, Regulatory Affairs, Sindh Province. This is one of his responsibility. The second responsibility is he's a Director, Central Drug Laboratory, which is the only laboratory in Pakistan which is run under the federal government, and also the DREP. He is head of that laboratory. Also, as far as my information is concerned, two WHO inspections has been already conducted of this lab, and in inshallah near future in 2025, it is hoped that it will be third and last inspection, and in which Dr. Saifur Rahman lab, that is CDL, we call it CDL. Inshallah, it will be accredited by WHO because his level of is reached so much that it meets the accreditation from WHO, who will go for that. And the topic of Dr. Saifur Rahman Khatak is procedures and practices in laboratory testing, that is WHO GPT perspective.
Thank you, sir.
Over to Dr. Saifur Rahman Khatak.
Thank you very much, sir, and a very warm welcome to all friends. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Sarfaman Khattak. Thanks to Dr. Shisa, who is invited us to be part of that very important gathering. And I have two news for you. The first one is basically the good news. The good news is first, you have already done your lunch. And secondarily, after that session, there will be only one session. So these are the two good news for you. And somewhat, not to be called as a bad news, but less than, a good news. As that we are going to be discussing, the most technical function under the regulatory functions of GBT, that is the laboratory testing. So let's start from, some of the areas, not directly the indicators or sub-indicator, but mentioned by the GBT tool. So let's go to these areas first. The GBT has defined the laboratory testing in terms the assessment of quality of medical products by performing quality tests on them as part of pre and post-market surveillance. We all know that laboratory testing may be involved in medical products assessment of quality as part of the pre-assessment as well as post-market surveillance. Then where to use, the laboratory testing? We all know that the laboratory testing is mainly performing its role to corroborate manufacturer's test results as a part of the evaluation for marketing authorization, or the laboratory will be functioning when there is a variation to a marketing authorization, or there is the requirement of lot release for certain products depending upon the national regulations, where we use the lot release processes. Next, please. And the final one is basically, for products for which there has been complaint or a report, or for products that are under investigation due to an adverse event. In such cases, the laboratory testing may be performed. So finally, as part of the market surveillance function as well, as we already discussed. So these are some of the scenarios where the laboratory function will be playing its role. Next, please. Now, the laboratory personnel is involved directly in testing of the product, but they are also having some other roles for the other regulatory function as well. For example, the assessment and review of marketing authorization applications. So one of the important area which is basically, the performance of the laboratory personnel during review of the marketing authorization application. And secondarily, the laboratory personnel may also be performing its role by reviewing the clinical trial data. So these are some of the additional roles of the laboratory personnel where they can play their role, and they are playing basically their role. Next, please. So another area which is being mentioned by the tool, there may be the decentralization of laboratory activities, is highlighted by my brother Dr. Ubaidullah and Dr. Abdul Mughis Mudassir, the reliance mechanisms, and also over here, some regional, maybe, global, maybe, in the country. So the contracting and subcontracting, we know these are the general practices of the laboratory testing activities. So testing activities may be decentralized to one or more internal or external laboratories. The NRA or National Quality Control Laboratory must ensure that a continuous information exchange mechanism is established for authentic and speedy decision making. This is basically, the requirement made by the GPT tool that there should be a proper mechanism if the NRA or NQCOL under their authority is going for such an arrangement. Yes, please. Here, as usual, as discussed by Dr. Abdul Maghis Mudassir, the basic, in the start of the indicators, indicators, sub-indicators is basically the legal provisions. For laboratory testing activities and for laboratory framework, again, there should be some legal provisions which will not only be focusing on the establishment of the National Quality Control Laboratory, but also to run the activities of National Quality Control Laboratory. So the legal provision must be therefore to establish an NQCL or mini NQCLs to perform QC testing and how to authorize the NRA to subcontract the required testing services. And this very requirement is basically related or belonging to the maturity level 1, means the basic requirement. The second area or the second indicator is basically the more precisely the sub-indicator is to allow the NRA to recognize and use laboratory testing related decisions, reports, or information from other NRAs or regional and international bodies. So this is basically reliance as well as, the recognition of the testing activities and decision made by the national or international bodies and the NRAs of other countries. Next, please. The other indicator is basically the organizational and governance, how the laboratory activities will be governed. So the first sub-indicator in this area, which belongs to basically the maturity level 2, is organizational structure with clear responsibilities to conduct laboratory testing activities. Means for laboratory, there should be an organizational structure, and this organizational structure should be properly supported with clear responsibilities of the personnel, basically a part of that, who are basically testing, conducting the testing activities. And again, the second one, a sub-indicator of this indicator is to the documented procedures should also be available and implemented to ensure the involvement and contributions of the National Quality Control Laboratory to support regulatory oversight. And this indicator, sub-indicator is basically belonging to maturity level 3. Next, please. Another indicator is the plans and policies for testing activities. Under this indicator, we have some sub-indicators. So the first sub-indicator under this indicator is documented and implemented policy for testing exists that is based on the product's risk. We know product risk and risk metrics and risk-based approaches are everywhere in every decision and every activity. So the laboratory testing should also have, the policies and procedures that are basically based on the product's risk. Documented and implemented policy exists on the validation, verification, and transfer of analytical procedures. We all professional people and specifically people from laboratory know that this is one of the very, very important area where we conduct validation, verification, or transfer of analytical procedures. And this sub-indicator belongs to maturity level 3. So there should be procedures and activities which are very much related to the validation or verification in case you have the method developed by you, or you have the pharmacopoeial method for verification purposes, or you are transferring some analytical procedure from any other laboratory or from manufacturing side. So before using it really to for the testing of the product and to reporting the test results, these methods should either be validated or verified, or transfer procedures should be made. Next, please. Under this indicator, another sub-indicator is a policy should be in place regarding to establish or qualify all reference standards used in laboratory testing activities. The backbone of testing, we all know that the standards play a role. So we must have, a mechanism and arrangements for the establishment or for the qualification of the reference standards to be used, in the testing activities. These will definitely be involving some primary standards as well as the working or national standards. Documented, another sub-indicator is documented and implemented procedures a test for handling atypical or out of specification results, including a retest policy. So all the people who are related to the testing, basically, they know this area very well. And for a quality testing, there should be a proper out of specification investigation when there are some atypical or out of specification results. Next, please. This is another backbone of the laboratory activities, laboratory arrangements and resources. The GPT has mentioned, a separate indicator for it, that is a human resource. And even for every indicator, function of the regulatory function, we have the human resource actually. So for the laboratory, there should be sufficient competent. And by competency, we mean education, training, skills, and experience of the staff to which the activities regarding the testing will be assigned. These staff should be sufficient, competent. So there should be proper competency program regarding their education, their training, their skills, their experience, and even basically their decision-making, capability and capacity. And in case of human resources, another sub-indicator is their duties, functions, and responsibilities of the staff relevant to laboratory testing activities are established and updated in respect to job descriptions. This is very much important area because the human resource which are catering the responsibilities of testing are highly technical, and they need, their knowledge and skills to be updated from time to time. So first, their responsibilities, function, and duties should be properly written. They should be properly communicated to them. And finally, these job descriptions are the responsibilities which are basically should be updated from time to time, so they to harmonize it and to bring them into the modern practices or the new established practices. Next, please. We all know that the training plan is very much important for the human resource to work. So there should be a training plan developed, not only developed, but should be properly implemented in letter and spirit, and updated at least once a year for staff relevant to laboratory testing activities. So it should be not only developed, but will be religiously implemented, and it should be updated, in the based upon the requirements of the current testing. And then another sub-indicator of this area means under the human resource is basically the NRA generates and maintains records of staff training activities and training effectiveness verification. So once they get, the training and they are getting the training, so the training activities should be properly recorded, and it should be ensured that these training are also effective as well. So mechanisms should also be there, that there are not only the trainings, but these trainings should be meaningful and these trainings should be effective. So there should be a verification program or verification procedures for the effectiveness of the training as well. Next, please. Another important area, an indicator of the GBT, is the laboratory facilities. We know that the laboratory facilities should be up to the mark in order to have some good testing and to get, proper results, which are realistic, which are time-bound, which are basically based upon SMART. So laboratory facilities should be there, which should be adequate to perform quality testing activities. And some of the areas which will be mentioned in the GBT, and we know the other areas as well, but it's comprehensively some 3 areas can be considered, that is the adequacy of the laboratory premises and the adequacy of the work environment and adequacy of the workspace. So these are the 3 very important areas regarding the laboratory facilities, along with other facilities which will be discussed in further, inshallah. Some we have discussed and some we will be discussing in the next one. So for facilities means the premises and the environment in those premises and the workspace available for every activity should be adequate for proper testing of the medical products. Next, please. Testing equipment, we know that without testing equipment or without advanced and very much calibrated, very much qualified and maintained testing equipment, the testing activity cannot be performed. So we must have, the equipment calibration, qualification, and maintenance plans that should be developed and should be defined and implemented, and records should also be maintained for these testing equipment under the requirement of GBT. Next, please. The next area is the laboratory procedures, another very important area also. There are procedures for receipt, handling, storage, and retention of samples. There are documented procedures for performing tests in accordance with the marketing authorization documentation. A documented procedure is implemented for notification of test results and for ensuring that test results are issued following a standardized format. Next, please. There are appropriate procedures for obtaining and handling of all materials required for testing. And staff has access to reference documents, including pharmacopoeias, textbooks, and operational manuals. At least these are the procedures basically which have been mentioned under the sub-indicators in the GBT, and a lot of more. Next, please. Another indicator under the GBT is the transparency, accountability, and communication. So we have a sub-indicator. The laboratory testing activities are appropriately communicated to the public community, It should be in order to have, the proper information communicated to the public regarding the testing, because testing will be meaningful in the cases where the results are communicated. So that to safeguard, the public from the any adverse event of any adverse effect of any drug which is not basically of quality. Next, please. Another area under the JBT is monitoring of regulatory performance and output. There is an updated database of all medical products batches that have undergone quality testing. So the JBT is asking for an updated database of all medical products batches that have undergone quality testing in a laboratory. And another sub-indicator under this area under monitoring and trends analysis are carried out for laboratory testing results, data of reference materials in medical products. Because this is we are definitely working on the continuous improvements in regulatory function, and especially if we consider, the laboratory testing. So a very important area for the continuous improvement. So there should be, therefore, the trend analysis of all the data regarding, the reference materials to show their suitability and appropriateness, and also to see the medical products that are tested basically. Next, please. Regular participation in proficiency schemes is one of another very important area in order to have, expose yourself laboratory, especially to, some testing of international level where other people also participate in your results are also compared basically in case of proficiency testing. So the indicator is basically asking for the participation in the proficiency testing scheme and collaborative studies and inter-laboratory comparison schemes. The laboratory must have to participate under this indicator in the proficiency testing program and the collaborative studies and inter-laboratory comparison programs. And a very important area is the other sub-indicator, that is the performance indicators for laboratory testing activities are established and implemented. Again, this is also a very important area that there should be, the performance indicators for the laboratory testing activities, so that to see that actual the quality testing is being made, and the reliability of testing, and the output of testing, and even the input of testing. So the impact of testing is basically really catalogued, and it is meaningful for the plans and for the strategic planning. Next, please. A very important area, since we are dealing with some hazard as well in the laboratory. So a laboratory hazardous substances list should be available, and it should be documented. Procedure for storage should also be available. These procedures should talk about the handling and disposal of these substances. These procedures should not only be available, but should be implemented in letter and spirit. A laboratory safety program exists, and a designated person is responsible for its management. And then another very important area is the staff immunization requirements are defined, implemented, and monitored. So this may be in some of the cases that this sub-indicator will also be complied upon. Next, please. Management of outsourced laboratory activities. So if the laboratory is relying upon and subcontracted, its laboratory activities, then there should be a documented procedure available and implemented for managing outsourced QC activities. So these were some of the, explanation of the GPT. So hope that the explanation has been made in the right way. So now, if you have any question, you will be more than welcome. I will get the question.
हाथ रेज किया हुआ है. Who have raised the hand? From Gambia, please ask the question. From Gambia. Please unmute your microphone and ask the question from Dr. Safar Khatak. इसके अलावा कोई और भी है?
Means this area is basically very much explained to everyone. So that's good, great.
Gambia, and if someone has raised the hand, please from Gambia, he can ask a question from Dr. Safar Khatak. From Gambia. He has raised the question. He has raised the hands. Question? If there is no question, then we should move to the another presentation by Dr. Afan Ali. He remained as a
What are the benefit of WHO pre-qualification? Pakistan and
what are the benefit of WHO pre-qualification?
Thank you very much. This is a very good question. You standardize yourself to the international standard. So everyone and every function in the drug regulatory authority, it should be, harmonized to or equal to or standardized to the international standard. So WHO pre-qualification is basically one of the standard WHO 10502, NHR 10502 is basically the standard. So you standardize your laboratory resources, bringing your competency, the reliability of testing, and the communication to the people, all to a standard level. So definitely everyone wants to have the standardized approach in every activity. So WHO pre-qualification is one of the approach to standardize the approaches of the laboratory. And the other, the importance will be definitely if you are generating a report, that is the test report. So definitely it will be encouraged, it will be received very well by other authorities or other people across the globe, because the people know that you have, the approaches which are standardized and very much aligned to the international standards.
So,
There is another question. Have you got access to WHO primary and secondary standards for validation studies?
Yes, we have, a memorandum of understanding with the USP, and we are getting, some primary standard with from them, and we have already designed, another program for the preparation of the national reference standards in Pakistan. But in this point, we are getting the USP standards for the verification of our methods, specifically, and for testing our product for routine, we are using the secondary standard developed and monitored and qualified in Central Drugs Laboratory.
Thank you, sir. If there is no question, then we'll go to the presenter, Dr. Afan. He is a deputy director, Central Research Laboratory, Karachi, in Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan. He remained as a W consultant in one of the recent countries. And his topic is regulatory inspection, which is very, very important. And then market services when the product is available in the market. And we need a post-marketing services. Over to Afan Ali.
अब मेरा जो है ना वो बंद कर दें।
Are you listening to me?
Okay. Yes, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir, we can hear
Okay.
you.
Okay. So to establish regulatory inspection and market surveillance function, there are 6 requirements. Okay. As discussed earlier by Mr. Abdul Mughis Mudassir, and then recently by Dr. Saifur Rahman Khattak. For these two functions, these are the 6 requirements. Number 1 is legal requirement, then obviously requirements for organization and governance, procedural requirements, resource requirements, and obviously requirement for transparency, accountability, and communication, monitoring progress and assessing outcome and impact. So we will go through each requirement to see how what are the requirements and how they differ in these two regulatory functions, the inspection one and market surveillance. So, as far as regulatory inspection is concerned, basically any NRA requires an authorization for its inspectorate by the government to inspect any premises that is part of the supply chain, be it an importer, an exporter, a retailer, a wholesaler, or a manufacturer, for assessing their GXP. So one part of the regulatory inspection is legal requirement of the regulatory inspection is authorization for inspection. Number 2 is enforce good practices, GXP. So this authorization is not limited to the manufacturers and wholesalers and distributors, but the clinical sites as well, where the clinical studies, clinical trials are going on. So the authorization for inspection is required, as well as the authorization to enforce GXP is required throughout the supply chain. And this GXP includes GMP, GSDP. GMP is good manufacturing practices, good storage and distribution practices, good clinical practices. So the law authorizes the inspectorate to enforce good practices. And most importantly, the next is to enter facilities throughout the supply chain, and to enter the facilities at any reasonable time
throughout the supply chain. To collect relevant evidence, including samples during GXP inspections. And fifth is reliance. So these 5 types of authorizations are required by the legislation to establish a regulatory inspection function. And then updated national GXP regulations. So we have legislation and then we have regulations. Certain regulations are required for GXP. It includes all GCP, GMP, GSDP, norms or guidelines, and obviously it is mandatory. So to keep all the regulation norms and guidelines updated at all times is mandatory for regulatory inspection function. So on the other hand, we have market surveillance and control. So for this function, we need authorization from the legislation to intervene in import and export activity by issuance of some permits or checking by testing or any other aspect. So the legislation should authorize the NRA or the specific unit of the NRA to intervene in the import and export activities, product sampling from different point of the supply chain. So we see under regulatory inspection, we require this authorization to collect sample as well as in market surveillance and control. But the difference is in regulatory inspection, this sample is one of the evidence of GXP. And for market surveillance and control function, we need this sampling as part of routine market surveillance to set the goals, to set the improvement, and to set the standards for further enhancing the regulatory system in the country. Then we need authorization by legislation to deal with the substandard and falsified medical products. So there should be clear authorization to the National Regulatory Authority, NRA, to deal with substandard and falsified medical products. So there should be some penalties, there should be some procedure to how to deal with substandard and falsified medical products. It includes all, including medical devices and all. So then we need authorization to control advertisement. Not all can advertise without permission, and not every content can be advertised without permission of the National Regulatory Authority. So this is required by the legislation. Similarly, placement of the product's unique identification number on its outer packaging is again required by the law for market surveillance and control functions. Similarly, guidelines are required, guidelines for different type of permits, for example, import, export, and guidelines related to recall, storage, and disposal of SF medical products is required. So collectively, these are the authorizations by the legislation, which we discussed earlier, and then guidelines by the NRA should be available to establish the regulatory inspection and market surveillance and control functions at any NRA. Then, obviously, if we are establishing the function, there should be some organization and there should be some governance structure. So there should be an organization structure, clear organization structure with clear responsibilities related to inspection as well as market surveillance and control function. So there should be an inspectorate and the organization structure should be clear. It should not be mixed. So it should be clear who is reporting to whom and what are the responsibilities of each unit under the function. Who will be responsible for SF handling and who will be responsible for inspection. So each and everything should be established. Similarly, mechanism to ensure the involvement and communication among all stakeholders is very much necessary, and it is part of organization and governance. So who will communicate with the stakeholders? Not all can communicate at the same time. So the authorization, the chain of command, and the mechanism of communication, the mode of communication, it should be established for both of them, for regulatory inspection as well as market surveillance and control function. And obviously, without resources, we cannot do anything. So for these two functions, we need human resource. And human resource, not just human resource, we need competent human resource, and competency comes from formal education, training, skills, and experience. So we need an amalgam of education, training, skills, and experience. A different blend of education, training, skills, and experience is required in human resource, and obviously sufficient in number. And sufficiency is obviously calculated on the basis of workload. A country with lesser population, a country with lesser importers, a country with lesser manufacturers cannot have the same number of human resource with a country with higher number of manufacturers, higher number of clinical sites, and others. So the sufficiency should be calculated on the basis of workload, and accordingly competent and sufficient number of human resource required. And for each member of the staff, we should have job descriptions, and under the job descriptions, they should have clear responsibilities and authorities. Okay, so without authorities, responsibilities are nothing. So job description should contain responsibilities as well as authorities. And next is training. There should be there should be a robust mechanism for training, and which includes from training need assessment, training plan, training inventory, training record, each and everything should be maintained by the NRA for their human resource. And obviously it is a continuous process of improvement, and it is continuous process of building capacity and competency in their human resource. So resources are very much necessary with at least these aspects for any NRA for their RI and market control function. And obviously it is not limited to these two functions, and it is we can replicate this information for other functions as well. So then obviously there should be certain procedures, certain very necessary procedures for each of the function. So for regulatory inspections, we need a procedure or several procedure or a single procedure for inspection preparation, conduct, and reporting. And these inspections should be planned on the basis of risk by using the quality risk management approach. A compliant manufacturer or a compliant supply chain point or a compliant site should not be visited more often with respect to the non-compliant. So the aspects of quality risk management should be included in the procedures for implementation of regulatory inspection functions. So the procedure should be available for risk-based inspection planning. Regulatory inspection, follow-up, decision-making, and enforcement activities. So nothing can be done without having a formal procedure. And obviously this procedure should be available to the stakeholders in terms of guidelines, whatever is related to the stakeholders. So we need procedure for inspection preparation, conduct, reporting, inspection follow-up, decision-making, enforcement. And another aspect is
multidisciplinary teams. So in setting the inspection team, we cannot consider jack of all trades. We need specialists of activities. For example, if we are going to a manufacturer where they have sterile manufacturing. So a team should have an expert in sterile manufacturing or a microbiologist so that they can assess the risk associated to the contamination by microbials. Similarly, the expert from quality control is required. The expert from quality management system is required in the team. So the teams should be constituted such that they should have experts from all the fields, all the related fields. So we should have a clear procedure for establishment of multidisciplinary teams. And then categorization of findings according to QRM. No finding can be left uncategorized. So we should have a procedure for categorization of the finding as per QRM. So whether you are categorizing it as critical, major, other, or critical, major, minor, or common, whatever, but it should be based on quality risk management. All the aspects of quality risk management should be included, should be added, and then the findings should be categorized. It should not be based on the perception of the individuals. So the procedure should be there for categorization of findings on the basis of QRM. Similarly, there should be no discrimination between domestic, foreign, public, and private facilities. And obviously, on the basis of ownership. So same criteria should be used by the inspectorate for inspection of all these type of facilities. So these are the major procedures that are required for the inspectorate, or in the broader sense, by the NRA for an effective regulatory inspection function. On the other hand, when we discuss market surveillance and control, we need procedure for authorizations or permissions for import activities, promotion and advertisement of medical products, monitoring of promotion and advertisement of medical products. So we need procedure for each and every thing that we are doing, risk-based sampling of medical products. So it is not just going and sampling randomly. No, it should be risk-based. First, we should establish the risk criteria. Then we identify which molecule we are targeting, which product we are targeting, which device we are targeting. Not all products have equal risk. So as we know, the resources are scarce everywhere in the world. Even the most developed countries cannot do 100% of sampling. So that's why we need.
डॉक्टर अफान, आपकी 2 स्लाइड्स रह गई हैं, इनको जरा दो कंपाइल करें, फिर आपके बाद में क्वेश्चंस लेंगे आपका.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you. So we need. Okay, sir. So we need risk-based sampling for medical products, procedure for that, and then enable the public to report suspected SF medical products. So we need a procedure to encourage public to report suspected SF products. Similarly, we should have complaints or market report, procedure for complaint, market report, and obviously, most importantly, a comprehensive plan, a comprehensive procedure to how we prevent, detect, and respond to SF products. What are the checks we need to add for prevention, and what we have to do for detection, and what will be our response? So every aspect should be covered in our procedure. And then procedure for safe storage and disposal of detected SF medical products. Then obviously, for any national regulatory authority, transparency, accountability, and communication is very, very much necessary, because unless we are not transparent, and it is not about any regulatory authority, it is about any organization, it should be transparent. So the list of inspectors, who are the inspectors, it should be publicly available. And whenever we are sending our inspector to any institute, we should communicate who is coming. and what is their expertise. The updated list or database of all inspected facility along with their regulated decisions should be available. All the what was the fate of the inspection. Inspection metrics are regularly published and publicly available, and information on inspection conducted is regularly published and publicly available. So whatever you have done, it should be available, and obviously it should be in accordance with the national confidentiality requirements. So to the extent the national regulations and requirements on confidentiality allows, we should have this information available for the public. And it is related to all the information that we are going to public. And for market surveillance and control, obviously the activities should be appropriately communicated within the NRA. The most important thing about market surveillance and control, the decision making is based on this surveillance activity. A manufacturer has applied for registration, but there are many issues with their existing products. So the decision should be on the basis of risk, that they are unable to manufacture their existing products. What we should do, should we allow them to manufacture another new product? But that's why the market surveillance and control activities, their results, their outcomes should be communicated within NRA so that other regulatory activities can be effectively planned. And findings and regulatory decisions of market surveillance control are appropriately communicated. Findings and regulatory decisions of market surveillance control activities of common interest are appropriately communicated and shared with other countries and regional and international organizations. We have found, for example, we have found an SF product in our country, and we know that this manufacturer or this product is also exported to some other country or some other region. So we should communicate with the other regional bodies, other stakeholders for this information, for these activities of market surveillance and control. And monitoring progress and assessing the outcome and impact, database should be updated regularly for your regulatory inspection decision certifications, whose GMP is valid and whose GMP is invalid, whose license is valid and whose license is invalid. It should be updated in the database. Inspection reports are well archived and easily retrievable, so that whenever the next time an inspector is going, they can review what happened previously. Inspection reports are subjected to a regular and robust review by experts. So a single person should not take any decision on the basis of whatever observed. So it should be reviewed by the panel of experts. Inspection data and outcomes are systemically evaluated or interpreted. And then performance indicators. There should be established performance indicators for the regulatory inspection function. So is with the market surveillance and control. So each function should have established performance indicators.
Please summarize.
Sir, it is last. Okay. So database exists of approved and refused promotional and pricing materials. Whatever we have approved, what we have refused, the database should be available. Similarly, the database of the product should be available for the market control activities, testing, and other related activities related to market control and surveillance. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Afan Ali. Before we take questions for you, I will request Khazima Muazzam that she should give a presentation on activities and performance of comstech for 57 Muslim countries. Over to Khazima, because we have a meeting at 3 o'clock. After your presentation, we'll take questions for Afan Ali.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Rashid, for giving me time. And without causing any delay, let me share my slides first. I hope all of you can see my slides.
Yes.
Okay. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. All the participants who have joined us from different corners of the world. My name is Hazima Mozam. I'm working as a program manager here at Comstech. So I'm just here to give you a brief overview of what Comstech is and what are the programs particularly related to scholarships and research fellowships, which Comstech has launched in the recent past, which can be of use and advantage for you all. Comstech is a ministerial standing committee on scientific and technological cooperation of the OIC, of the Organizations of the Islamic Cooperation. It is based in Pakistan, Islamabad. Comstech was established in 1981. It is chaired by President of Pakistan and co-chaired by the Prime Minister of Pakistan. Whereas the executive or chief executive officer of Comstech is Coordinator General Comstech, and through Coordinator General Comstech, we govern our functions through an executive committee and our Comstech Secretariat, where Dr. Abdul Rashid and I, we work as a team. Moving on, the Coordinator General Comstech is Professor Dr. Muhammad Iqbal Chaudhry. This is the second time he is leading us as a Coordinator General Comstech, and he has been reappointed by the President of Pakistan in 2024 as a Coordinator General of Comstech. Comstech has many partner organizations within the OIC system, and we also have number of networks in different OIC member countries. For example, we have our network in Jordan, we have our network in Malaysia, in Iran, and many other countries. And through these partners and daughter organizations or the inter-Islamic networks, that Comstech plays its role within the OIC. So just cutting short, the scholarships and the fellowships program, which Comstech has started to build the capacity of the Muslim youth. I'm just going to give an overview of those scholarships. So these scholarships, they are offered under Comstech Consortium of Excellence, where we have number of academic, research, and engineering institutions from the many countries of the OIC, offering these research scholarships, fellowships, and training program. The main objective of this Consortium of Excellence and also providing these scholarships and research fellowships is to create science and technology interdependence and provide an enabling environment for the investment in trade, and of course, build an ecosystem and a science and technology capacity within the OIC member countries to enable a knowledge-based growth and technology transfer. So this is the list of different research fellowships and the training programs which are available. For example, we have a training program for the OIC least developed countries. This is the link. I have also posted these link in the chat box and within this Zoom link. Please go to our website using these links, and you will see there is an opportunity for you to apply for the research fellowships. The duration of these research fellowships is from 6 to 12 months, and you will be placed in different institutions within the OIC country. These institutions are based in Pakistan, in Malaysia, in Turkey, Indonesia, and many other countries. We also have a particular program for virology and vaccine technologies. We have set forth a separate program for the Muslim minorities in the OIC states as well. A dedicated program exists for the women scientists of the OIC LDCs. In addition to that, we also have a technicians training program, and we also have a specific program for training of the special education teachers. The links are here. Kindly apply through our website use this opportunity to enhance your career and to develop your career further. These are just the photos of some of the scholars who have benefited from our virology fellowship program. And this program has been running for 3 years now, mashallah. This program takes place in Indonesia, and you all can be part of this program if you apply through Comstech website for this program. We have recently launched a dedicated program for building the capacity of the African member states. These are the two particular programs that we have just launched in the previous week. This is the OIC Comstech, the University of Lahore scholarship. Through this scholarship, we are offering full scholarships for the full degree programs It also has research fellowships and short-term trainings. The details of this program and the number of the courses that are available under this program are already up on our website. Use this link and go to our website. The application procedure is very simple, and we are trying to take in as many applications as we can. Understanding that this is an era of computer sciences, artificial intelligence, we have started an exclusive undergraduate program for scholarships offered by University of Lahore in biomedical engineering, artificial intelligence, and embedded systems for Africa. This program is open and the deadline for both of this program is 31st of March. Please disseminate this information within your circle. If you want to apply in this program, apply it yourself, forward it to your family, friends who would like to use this opportunity. We also have dedicated country program for the different member OIC countries. We have a program for Palestinian youth. We have scientists and researchers. We also have a dedicated program for Bangladesh, Yemen, Somalia, Nigeria, and Sudan. And through all these country-based programs, we are offering several fellowships, opportunities to attend workshops and scholarships and to have technicians training in different member countries of the OIC. And I hope this information will be of use to you. And please, if you have any other queries for the future, I have given my email in the chat box. You can write to me directly, and I hope to get back to you soon on your queries. We also have an online presence. We are present on YouTube. We are present on Facebook, LinkedIn, and of course, we have our website that is www.comstech.org. So with this information, I hope that you will engage further with Comstech through Professor Dr. Abdul Rashid, Ms. Ayman, and me. And we are here to help you further develop your careers and to also have interlinkage within the OIC member countries and the Muslim Ummah. With this, thank you very much for your time. And if there are any queries, I have 2 minutes, so maybe I can take any questions you have. Again, thank you very much, Dr. Rashid, for giving me time. Over to you.
Any question? If only one question, because we have only 2 minutes. Any participants from African countries? If there is no question, then thank you very much, Hazima Mawazam.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Afan Ali, are you here?
Sir, I am here.
In which country you went for consultancy? African country.
I was in the Gambia.
Gambia.
Yes.
In between Senegal. Yes.
Yes.
Any question regarding inspections and market post? I call it post marketing solutions and control. So, is there any church? Any questions from Dr. Afan Ali? Who has raised the hand? One from Gambia, another Dr. Kaisar Akram. Kaisar Akram, are you listening to me?
Yeah, hello. Am I audible to you?
One person. Dr. Kaisar Akram is listening to me.
Yeah, I can.
Do you have any question?
Yeah, I have a question regarding training fellowships. Do the Comstech have some trainings fellowship for faculty members as well?
Yes, but normally Comstech goes either they are in public service or in the private service, or they are the experience, or they are the fresh one. And including also difficulty, they can apply also. If they are the bachelor, having the bachelor degree, they can apply for postgraduate. Last year in 2024, we have a program of training for in traditional medicines for Chinese, for China. Even they can do the postdoctorate also. So the public service, public servant, they can apply for the higher education training also faculty members. Gee, any other question? From Gambia, any person have raised their hand?
Yes, good afternoon from Gambia. I am Musa from the Medicines Control Agency. So this is a general
Agency, okay.
This is a general question. It's not specific to the training. It has to do with regarding packaging. We went through the training, but most of the regulations is centered on the products themselves. And then I am very much interested in the package regulation of in terms of packaging, where some countries have started using some color code for substandard and falsifications of medications using some tools. Are there any plans by the WHO to introduce this type of identification of substandards and then falsification of medications? Perhaps using the QR code or the barcode, where when you scan, if it is like a standard product, it indicates green. If it is falsified, it indicates other colors. Thank you, and over to you.
Finally. And also, Dr. Saifur Makhatani can also throw the light. First, finally, because he's...
Okay, thank you very much, Musa, for your query. And, you know, right now the world is working on serialization and 2D barcoding, as discussed earlier by Dr. Ubaidullah, that we are also working on it. So obviously, whenever there is a falsified medicine in the market, and the country has implemented serialization along with 2D barcoding on GS1 standard, so the falsified medicine will not be in the database of the National Regulatory Authority, the common database that will be used for serialization. So the countries are using serialization, and obviously it is, again, it is at part of the national legislation that what they are going to adopt. So the solution for identification of falsified medicine in the market is serialization along with 2D barcoding. And obviously, substandard is not a thing that we can just judge by looking. For substandard, obviously, we should have three-level approach in testing. Obviously, physical testing that we physical examination, and then obviously some screening technologies, and then full-scale testing in the lab. So that's how we can go, we can identify substandard and falsified medicine. Thank you.
Professor, do you want to add something? So another question. Another question, please. इसको अलग करें असम को Hassan, are you listening to me? Hassan Noor, are you listening to me? Any questions? Who has raised the hand? Yes,
Hello.
you can speak.
Hello. Hey. Good afternoon. My name is
Yes.
Osvaldo Nguyen from Mozambique.
Mhm.
My question is regarding the criteria. I saw that they must have the same criteria for conducting inspection as
Can you
in.
speak loudly, please? Can you speak loudly?
Yes, I was saying. Do you can hear me now? You
Yes.
can
You are
hear me?
audible.
Yes, I was asking about the criteria for inspection. I understand that they must be the same criteria. We have to have SOP or procedure for the same criteria for the conduct inspection in the public, private, domestic, and forage establishment. So the question is it if the national regulatory define the different criteria for conduct inspection, is it acceptable? For example, I define the criteria for conduct inspection in the public health and the conduct private establishment and the criteria for conducting inspection in the public establishment. If the national do this, is it acceptable? Thank you. How about you?
Finally, did you understand his question?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Osvaldo. Obviously it is unacceptable. We cannot have different criteria for inspection of public and private, the foreign or domestic. We cannot differentiate between the manufacturer for GMP inspection because ultimately the product being manufactured in any of the manufacturer, irrespective of the ownership, irrespective of the country of origin, the people of the country are utilizing that product. So we have to safeguard the people of the country. That's why we cannot differentiate between the depth of inspection. We cannot differentiate different criteria. We cannot have different criteria of inspection for different type of organization when it comes to related to ownership. So it is unacceptable. Thank you.
Any question more? Is there any question in the chat? Who has raised the hand? जरा देखिए इसे.
What is the constant plan to be
A 5-year action plan to strengthen the health system of African countries. 2 years has passed, and now the 2025 is the third year that we are working on a action plan on health for African countries. And in last month in December there was a third meeting of National Medicine Regulatory Authorities, and there they make a RIADA declaration, and also they make 5 strategies. And fifth and last strategy was that member states of OSCE countries, they should go for the global benchmarking tool. This activity was in the last month, 17th and 18th of December 2024. This was declared in Riyadh Declaration, and today is 9th January. That within a less than one month period, comstech has started for training and capacity building of OSCE Muslim countries, and DRAP was with us. This was the joint activity of comstech and also the DRAP. The same activities are also carried out in Sisrik, Turkey, where they have a Ibn Sina health program, and they do different activities for training and capacity building of healthcare professionals in OSCE member states. So I think this is the first drop of the rain, and inshallah we will continue in future also. And please, this is my request that you please see the website of comstech, because we have different activities on health within Pakistan and also in abroad, particularly in African countries. We want to do some activity in Senegal. They have requested us for improvement of safety, efficacy, and quality of medicines. We want to work some specific. We have inshallah, we will invite inspectors from Senegal to visit Pakistan pharma industry, also the particularly the 5 quality control laboratories which are pre-qualified from WHO. We will also like to have a training on GMP and also on pharmacovigilance and clinical trials in Gambia. When Dr. Ubaid and Mughis, they were going to DRAP, just after the break, we have decided that next week we'll sit together, that to train our member states, we will start training on one topic. We'll say 1 hour training and capacity building, and in another month we have another topic in detail, then the third topic, then the fourth, fifth. In this way, our OSCE member countries or national medicine authorities, they will be equipped, and inshallah we'll share our experience and share knowledge, and that will lead to the ultimately the strengthening of the national regulatory authority of the OSCE member countries. Thank you. Any question more? Otherwise, we close it. We have. If there is no question, then I close up this this whole activity. That was a 3-hour activity. I will in the last. I will thank to all the participants from different countries, especially from Africa, because they are far away from Pakistan. I am especially thankful to the Arab countries. I am thankful to the participants from Afghanistan. Just I want to tell you, from the up to yesterday, it was 30 countries. They have done their session for participation. But in the today morning, there were 38 countries who done a session for virtual participation in this training. And this is a good sign that so many number of regulatory bodies and pharmacists and medical professionals, scientists, specialists from public health, epidemiology, biological sciences. I can't even name of different professionals who have taken interest in this virtual training of arranged by comstech. I'm also thankful to Drug Regulatory Authority Pakistan. My wish was that there should be 4 speakers from DRAP, and then one speaker should be from Saudi FDA, but I cannot manage. Inshallah, next time, 2 speakers will be from Pakistan and 2 and 3 speakers will be from other member states. In the morning, Professor Iqbal Chaudhry, his presence showed a keen interest that how comstech is vigilant and interested to strengthen and for training of the National Medicine Regulatory Authority in 57 Muslim countries. Sudrap was also there. And we are thankful to all the heads of National Medicine Regulatory Authorities and all the participants that they have given the time. They have practically involved them, and they have the very valid questions and queries from speakers. I'm also thankful to all the speaker, Dr. Ubaidullah, Mr. Mavis, and Dr. Safar Man Khattak and Dr. Afan Ali. Also, I'm thankful to Ayman Malik, who is program officer in comstech, and hopefully in 2025 she will go for a visit to Australia. I'm also thankful to Mumtaz and other IT personnel. They have given the time. Also our team who have done the hospitality, Mr. Naveed Anwar, who is the GM of our hospitality in comstech, and all the administration of comstech. I'm thankful to you all, and with this hope, inshallah, we'll sit together again. And this is my dream that either on a regional basis or on an overall OIC basis, that we should draft a regulatory framework in which we should make a law that just like IMA, that if one Muslim country import or export to medicines from one country to another, there should be no regulatory hurdles. And if that medicine is registered and approved by the Saudi FDA, Turkish National Medicine Regulatory Authority, Senegal Medicine Authority, Indonesian Medicine Authority, or Jordan Medicine Authority, there should be no need for the registration of that product in other importing countries. So with this hope that inshallah we'll again discuss these professional matters and equip with each other and share experience and knowledge. With this, I am thankful to. Thank you very much.